Let me go!
Only the incomparable genius of Edgar Allan Poe could knit them so closely together. The burning passions of the purest of loves. The deadly passions of the madly prurient.
Madeline, you're leaving this house with me tomorrow.
Only I could.
For hundreds of years, evil thoughts and evil deeds have been committed within these walls. The house itself is evil now.
Here they all are. Ushers.
This is monstrous.
It waits for me, because very soon I shall be dead.
Oh, Madeline, come away with me now.
Where is she? You buried your own sister alive?
I did. But she's dead now.
The master hand of the macabre creates its masterpiece.
Once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived a king named Midas. Midas was a very rich king, but he was not a happy king. For with all his treasures of gold and jewels, this greedy man still longed for more wealth. All day he would think only of gold. Restless nights as he tossed about on his royal bed, he dreamed of more gold. He wanted above all else to become the wealthiest man in the world, and often he would forget his young daughter Marigold, whom he truly loved very much. And so for long hours, little Marigold played all alone among the lovely flowers of the spacious palace grounds. Bright, shining yellow flowers were her favorites, and she fashioned each day a bouquet of the most perfect of them to put upon the palace tables. The choicest flower of the lot was always shared with her father. But greedy King Midas only sighed and thought, if only these flowers were real gold instead of merely golden color, then they would truly be worth the having. But Marigold loved the sweet-smelling flowers just as they were, and she hurried to place them in cool, fresh water, lest they wilt. The bright yellow color of the flowers reminded Midas of the golden coins and the treasures hidden deep in his castle dungeon, and he worried that perhaps someone had discovered them. are you? And how did you get in here? Cried King Midas in great surprise. It is of no matter, said the stranger. But why are you not happy, King Midas? You have more golden treasures and more golden coins than you can possibly count in a day. Just what is it that will bring you contentment? What will satisfy you, King Midas? King Midas sighed. I have long dreamed of becoming the richest man in the world. I have only one wish. I wish that everything I touch would turn to gold. Then I could be truly happy. Very well, then, the stranger said. I will grant your wish. Tomorrow morning at early sunrise, you shall have what you desire. You shall have the golden touch. Use it wisely, King Midas. And now, farewell. Not wanting to go to bed lest he oversleep, the king dozed that night in a chair at the head of his dining table. At dawn, the golden rays of sunlight pierced the palace windows. King Midas awoke at once, eager to tower of his promised golden touch. At first, the king could not believe it possible. But when he rapped upon the chair, he knew it to be solid gold. Then one slight touch of his hand, and his throne too turned to glittering gold. Now King Midas knew that as long as he lived, he, King Midas, would be the wealthiest man in the world. For who could have more gold than he? The golden touch made King Midas very happy. But as he sat down to eat breakfast, Marigold came in from the garden with an armful of golden flowers. Look, Father, she said sadly, what has happened to them? They are hard and ugly and have no fragrance at all. Wonderful, my dear, said the king. They are real gold. Imagine real gold. Come now, sit down and eat your breakfast. King Midas was very hungry, but as he reached for an egg, it turned to gold at his touch. And as he picked up the loaf of bread, it too turned to gold. Oh, this will never do, thought the king to himself. Such a costly breakfast and not a thing to eat. He was angry with himself for ever having wished for the golden touch, and he was angry at the stranger for having granted his wish. It saddened Marigold to see her father so. She wanted to comfort him. But when the old king touched her arm, poor little Marigold became a statue of rigid gold. King Midas, surrounded by all his golden treasures, now knew how all alone he was. Through his sobs, he heard the voice of the stranger. Well, my friend, so you have made a discovery. Midas wept, for through his own greediness, he had lost the one thing he truly... Which would you rather have, Midas? The precious golden touch or a glass of cool water? A glass of cool water, cried Midas. The golden touch or a crust of bread, said the stranger. A crust of bread, answered Midas eagerly. The golden touch? Or your daughter? Oh, my child, my dear, dear child, wept Midas. Very well, then. If you wish to be relieved of the golden touch, wash your hands in the water of the river outside your garden. Then, take a vase of the same water and sprinkle it over anything you wish to change back to its former state. Remember me. And the stranger disappeared. King Midas lost no time in obeying the stranger's words. He reached for an empty pitcher and ran for the river to fill it with the precious water. Shortly he returned and at once sprinkled it over Marigold's head. Soon all traces of the golden touch were gone, and he began to hate the sight of anything made of gold. The only gold that he did enjoy was the gold in his little daughter's hair. And so we are told, they lived happily ever after.
This was my father's world, Mr. Barnett. The shrieking of mutilated victims became the music of his life. The blood of 1,000 men and women was spilled within these walls. Limbs twisted and broken, flesh burned black.
Starring Vincent Price, truly a master of the macabre. John Carr in a challenging role. Barbara Steele, more blood-chilling than in Black Sunday. And introducing taunting Luana Anders.
Nicholas.
Elizabeth? Is that you? Elizabeth? While we were up here mourning her, she was alive. Struggling to be free.
You are lying, sir. When Maria screamed, where were you? You lie!
I'm going to torture you, Isabella. I'm going to make you suffer for your faithlessness to me.
You harlot!
All the violence of angry seas. The unseen forces of the unknown. The unforgettable memories of a long-forgotten childhood. All these you will feel in your very blood.
Do you know where you are, Bartholomew? You are about to enter hell.
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Friday Night Scream Stream.
I'm your host, Spakenstein, joined as always by my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink.
Good evening.
How we doing tonight, Evan?
We are great. Back in the saddle, happy to be here, ready to delve into another expedition of horror.
Yes, our weekly expedition. And, public domain horror has some pretty terrifying depths, as we've discovered on this show so far. And if you've been watching along with us, you know. So tonight's no different. We've really gone to the, we've really trawled the bottom of the public domain horror depths to bring you tonight's film. We really did dredge it up.
Been down in the muck.
It wasn't easy to get tonight's film out of that muck, but we cleaned it up. We got it out. Because tonight we're watching a really, really unique but little known Gothic horror film from the early 1960s. Which sounds kind of weird when I say it, but it was a very popular subgenre of horror, trend of horror at that time. As you just saw the trailers that we led in with, that was what was going on. So the difference with tonight's movie is that it's a regional horror film. And so we've watched Manos, The Hands of Fate. That's a regional horror film. We watched a fair amount, and this is a whole subgenre unto itself. It's basically people with no connections really to any kind of studio. It's just kind of them and the people around them and the money they have and what can they throw together. And then usually it's pretty cheap, poor quality.
We're feeling indie spirit tonight.
Pretty indie, pretty hardcore indie. And so tonight's film is you wouldn't expect somebody to be ambitious enough to say, oh, for my regional horror film, I want to do a Gothic horror movie. And I need a castle and a dungeon, and I need, when you start to actually talk that idea out, you're like, this might be a little bigger than what we can do here in our tiny little hometown in in the case of tonight's film, Texas. So that's where tonight's film hails from. Tonight we are watching I'll give you the on-screen title, The Dungeon of Harrow. And I preface it with that statement because it's known by at least 3 or 4 different titles, including The Dungeons of Horror, Dungeons of Horror, The Dungeon of Horror. It's just all variations on the same thing, but I'm not quite sure where the word horror and horror, I don't know where horror, I don't think it's in the movie. So I don't really know where it comes from. But
The Dungeon of Harrow, Texas.
Harrow, Texas. Actually, we're going to be in San Antonio tonight. Gothic horror film out of San Antonio, Texas. That's what we got lined up for you tonight. Doesn't that sound fun?
That does sound fun.
Yeah, come on. I don't know that we'll be picking up a lot of Southern twang off the accents of the actors, but wouldn't that be fun? I'm pretty sure it's supposed to take place in England or Britain, but I'm sure they won't attempt.
Down here in sunny, flat England.
We love it down here in England. You know what they say? Everything's bigger in England. No, that's why is my impression of a Texas person immediately like George W. Bush? I don't know. That's a child of the early 2000s for you. But anyway, it's there's actually some interesting origins behind this movie, so we'll get into that tonight. But we're in for a treat. Again, the making of this movie was directly inspired by what Roger Corman was doing at the time with his Gothic horror films, and apparently a lot of similarities to a Roger Corman Gothic horror film that we've watched on this show, but we'll talk about that later.
Are we gonna get a discount Vincent Price?
I think yes. I have not seen tonight's movie, so that's again always in for a treat when that's the case. But I believe we will get a Vincent Price-esque person. I mean, again, you will find, especially if you've seen some of those Edgar Allan Poe, Roger Corman movies, that from what I've read, because I haven't seen this, but tonight's film takes a lot of inspiration from bits and pieces, but comes up with an original story. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Really excited for that. And look at me here talking away, and didn't even acknowledge S Sync over here in the chat. Hello, S Sync, and hello everybody out there on YouTube, Twitch. We love you guys. And we, starting a little early tonight. We're gonna try to move tonight's episode a little faster than normal, just because
yeah, Garrett's pulling a double shift.
I've got a little bit of a weird schedule the next couple weeks, and so suffice to say, the sooner I can go to bed tonight, the easier it'll be to wake up early tomorrow morning. So we're gonna be moving along a little quick, and of course we couldn't go any further in the show without turning it over to Evan, because of course, as always, he brings us a delicious cocktail to pair with the evening's film in a little segment which we call
What were you drinking?
What are we drinking tonight, Evan?
So, funny story. So last week we were talking about tonight's movie, and when you told me the title, what I heard you tell me was the Dungeon of Harrow.
Yeah.
As in horror without the last R.
Horror,
so
like it's just a huge typo on the title.
HORRO. And so I was walking around all week assuming that was the title of this movie. And so I came up with a recipe that I had to drop because it doesn't make any sense anymore after I realized what the title of this movie actually was.
Oh, okay.
So I had to do a little bit of a pivot.
Okay.
I was gonna do a boxcar, as in a boxcar without the R. Kind of a little spin on that.
Right. Okay.
But instead, what we're having tonight is Dungeon Punch.
Okay.
So we got a nice punch tonight. If you want to make this at home, it is vodka, orange juice, fruit punch Kool-Aid, or I just got some Minute Maid, honestly. So just some fruit punch and some peach schnapps and a cherry garnish. And if you'd like to find that recipe, I believe it's on our Instagram.
I didn't. Because I
will
didn't.
be.
It will be. It will be. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not hard to find if you just want to also Google it. This unfortunately not an original, but
hey, you need some time off too. You worked hard, especially leading up to Halloween, man. That whole season, you were just on a roll. This season, any winter season is kind of a little bit of a down, a little bit of downtime. We're taking a little bit slow, we gotta.
We could still have a good drink, and we can learn a little bit. So while I was looking up this recipe, it occurred to me, what the heck is punch? Like, what makes a drink punch?
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a whole history of this that I'm not going to get into, but like historically, basically it boils down to it's like mixing fruit juices.
Okay.
And I know I do that in other drinks that I don't call punch.
Right.
But like historically, you would also maybe add spices, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
To punch. In parts of the world that aren't the U.S., I think they still do that. So I guess it's kind of like a spiced wine.
Okay, interesting.
And we might have to try that because that sounded pretty good.
Hey man, I'm always up for a little bit of spice. Just like a little bit of a kick to my cocktail.
That's why it's called punch.
Well, that's right. Yeah,
It's got hands.
Real. Yeah, that's not a kick, Evan. That's a punch. Okay, you're serving us up a violent cocktail this evening, Evan. I can't. How dare you? I can't believe you. No, I'm excited for this.
We're gonna go ahead and give this a try.
This looks good as hell. Look at that.
This little stir.
On my camera, if it was a little lighter, especially, it would look like a strawberry milkshake. In person, it kind of like, if you didn't tell me what it was, I would just assume, ooh, strawberry milkshake. But no, cocktail. So
Yeah.
you've done a very good job, Evan. It looks delicious.
Well, Dungeon Punch, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh, that's like really sweet.
That is.
Like, I was afraid that the
Yeah.
alcohol was really gonna like.
It's all of the fruit punch I added. The Minute Maid. I think that's what I'm getting the most of.
That well, I still think that's pretty.
It's good.
It's hitting the spot because
it's very refreshing.
I just kind of anytime I drink a punch, I just kind of have flashbacks to college where you're drinking, juice. You can't even call it punch because it's just so ratchet, and the alcohol is always sitting on the top. It's always the first thing, and then you get this nasty artificial Kool-Aid to kind of wash it down. This is not that. This is a good punch. So
this is pretty good.
I mean, again, if you go to like a good restaurant, you can get a good rum punch,
Yeah, I do like a nice rum punch.
So this is, this is comparable to it's a good cocktail. You've done very good tonight.
Very tasty, very tasty. Before we move on, I did want to add that what I thought was very funny in my reading of the history of punch is that the whole thing with punch is that it's a mixture of fruit juice,
right?
But here in the United States, because our country is a little silly sometimes, the regulatory definition of punch is a fruit flavored drink that doesn't actually contain any fruit juice.
Oh, okay. Well, the first thing when you started talking about this whole conversation was Capri Suns. That was the first thing on my mind. So.
That's why. Well, so at Minute Maid, they have in big letters, made with real fruit juice. It's 5%, but it has 100% natural flavors.
Yeah, see, that's that they try to slip that by you, but we all know that that's not. When they say natural, we know that's not what they mean. We know they're lying to us.
0% unnatural flavors.
Mm-hmm. I think so. No, I mean this has like a natural taste to it. It really does. And I appreciate that you've done some research into the history of punch tonight. I like a little bit of, I've never
we have a little history lesson.
Never thought about it before. So I always like to learn something new.
There's a lot of history connected with India and like the East India Company.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Kind of the Europe to Asia punch pipeline.
Okay. Yes. Look at that. You could get into, you go unravel the whole conspiracy, get your whole spider board going on it, do a real deep dive. And we'll devote a whole stream to your punch deep dive.
For one of our premium episodes.
Right. Yes. Once we start putting up that paywall, then if you really want to get
pony up for that one,
Evan's, deep dive, then you're gonna have to shell out a little extra. Yeah. So that's just the way it goes. But we haven't quite gotten there yet. We're still doing our same old free to the public show live every Friday. And happy to be here. And happy to be walking into this cold, dark dungeon. I don't even know the last time we were in a dungeon with any of the movies we've watched. I feel like it's been a minute. We don't get a lot of Gothic horror movies on the show because, again, outside of the silent movies, which last week, Phantom of the Opera, case in point.
Yeah. More of a sewer than a dungeon, but same kind of vibe.
True. That's a very good point. Yeah, it was definitely a sewer, despite what the title cards would like you to believe. The inner titles, we all know. The Phantom was living in a sewer. We know it. Christine didn't say it, but you could tell by the look on her face, it stunk down there. We all know it did.
But he has the voice of an angel.
He does, doesn't he? Really? I mean, I enjoyed. Again, that was the first time I'd watched Phantom from beginning to end, so I had a good time with that movie. So yeah, now we're pivoting from like really high class, like classic horror, Gothic horror, to obscure indie, low budget Gothic horrors. So the pendulum is swinging in the complete other direction. You know, S-Sync, I've kind of wondered about that too, but that's where our content beyond the paywall, that's non-public domain stuff. That's when we start, because once you have that wall up, then it's only going to specific people. We don't have to worry. It's not a public broadcast. So that in private, we can watch something that maybe is still under copyright because it's a private thing. That's what a lot of like horror streamers and a lot of you know, not many people that do shows like we do, but that's kind of the next realm, is you start kind of making, you know, content that is, you know, you're doing these movie nights with a movie that is clearly not public domain. So we'll probably get there to that at a certain point. That's what the paywall's for. But we're, you know, for now, yeah, you're right. I 100% agree with you, S-Sync. It would be antithetical, 100%. So we'll see. I mean, you know, tonight's film is, I wouldn't make anybody pay for. I wouldn't put this film up in front of any kind of paywall. Merch is a different game, and I've been researching into that too. We're looking to level up. I've been trying to do the research, make sure we're ready. But merch is fair game, you know. Then you take the public domain, you know. I don't know, Nosferatu shirts might be kind of hard, but you know, you start printing these things on shirts, and, you know, we'll have fun with it. We're not there yet, though. We gotta watch Dungeon of Harrow. That's the one pivot to finally get to monetization. This is gonna be the movie now. I assure you that it's not. But this will be an interesting movie. I'll go and tell you right before we get started. One of the most interesting facts about this movie is that the director, co-writer, co-editor, was a man named Pat Boyette, who was a San Antonio newsman, and he got into films in the early 60s, but he ended up kind of turning to comic book drawing and writing full time, and ended up co-creating the character the Peacemaker, which is owned by DC now, but when he co-created the character, it was owned by this comic brand called Charlton Comics, and it's, you know, never heard of them, but that was who Pat Boyette wrote for and co-created Peacemaker for. And then now Peacemaker has been in, I don't know if it was the Suicide Squad movies, but he definitely had his own show when John Cena played Peacemaker. So it's kind of a cool thing to think that somebody behind one of these little rinky-dink movies co-created a character that is still relevant IP, that is, you know, they're sinking millions and millions of dollars into making a whole show and hiring John Cena. It's a terrible idea because you can't see him. So I don't know why you'd even hire him to act in anything. But besides wrestling, where it's a little entertaining. The newer Suicide. See, I knew he wasn't in one of them. I just can't keep track of which is which. But interesting little fact, and you know, we'll talk more about Pat Boyette tonight, but I mean, he also did the model work on tonight's film and the art direction. I mean, he did, you know, obviously designed the poster. I mean, you know, obviously a creative guy. So it'll be fun. I'm excited for it. So anything before we get into the Dungeon of Harrow tonight, Evan?
Think there's any dragons tonight?
Ooh, now that would be perfect for the third act, and they finally reveal the dragon.
Yeah.
My fingers will be crossed.
We've had a dragon on the show yet.
No, we haven't. We may get there though.
Yeah, we'll get one or the other. We're playing Dungeons or Dragons tonight. There it is.
Rolling the dice. On that note, we're going to go ahead and get into the exciting beginning of the Dungeon of Harrow right now. All right, here we go. See, now why is that little apostrophe after the W? Now what?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the past tense of horror, or that's another? I don't know
Is it horror or is it harrow? like harrowing, but without the ing.
It looked like maybe it's Harrow. I guess. Does that make sense though?
I don't know. Is harrow a word? Somebody in the audience back.
How many times have I stood before the symbol of my family's greatness? And now this crest and I are dying together. At another time and another place, I might have brought honor and glory to the House of Hammond. But instead, I shall leave a legacy of decay and unspeakable horror.
You see his hand?
Yeah, that
I don't know. It's creepy. Oh, you gotta have your quill.
Do hereby record my days on the island of Say. In the year 1870, I was aboard my father's ship, the clipper Lestrade, bound for the Americas. We encountered what was to prove tragic weather.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
It's only a bottle. I love how he has the same.
It's a ship. That's why it's moving.
Seems to me, Captain, that you've lost your schedule again. I cannot control the weather, Mr. Fowler.
Can't deliver my lines and the set is shaking like this.
We'll have better control.
Hey, the water sure is rough tonight, isn't it?
Those be your orders. I'll be along presently. We precious little time left, sir. He's breaking up fast. Let's get the devil out of here.
She's breaking up fast. No, you can't leave your.
It's gonna fall apart.
Can't leave your family crest in there, dude. What are all these women and?
They're stuck. They're all trying to get through.
What kind of boat is this?
Yes. Yes, I love it.
Special guest star, somebody you've never heard of.
Texas celebrity. Lee Morgan.
Lee Morgan. Don't you know Lee? I love the foam on the water. That's how you can tell it's just, like right here.
This ship's having a hard time settling this rock.
I'm surprised they even got it to stay there that long. Well, it's been a while since we've had a color movie, I feel like. Wait, what did we kick this season off with? Yeah, no, we haven't had a color movie. Started with Plan 9. Plan 9, Phantom of the Opera, Dungeons of Harrow. We'll see. I can't judge it yet. That was the opening scene. I feel like a lot's already happened.
This music is very triumphant.
Yeah, it's a little too triumphant.
We lived.
I mean, they just kind of cobbled a soundtrack together for this. This is not an original soundtrack.
We're starting with the energy really high.
I mean, you just take a boring shot, you put some melodramatic music behind it, and all of a sudden you got melodrama. That's it. It's just in the music. Although I do like the way this angle is canted, so it looks like the ocean is going up. It's kind of wild looking.
So is this the Texas beach?
Yeah, this is the Texas beach, San Antonio Beach.
Glad to see you coming around, Mr. Fallon. Been a lonely exile without you.
Oh God, let me die.
Other survivors? Not that I can find, sir.
I'm stuck here with you.
You were the only one. Look, Mr. Fallon. There.
Uh-oh. Wait, is it just a...
We gotta save this rogue.
hell?
Is it
It seems as though we've been blessed with a bit of salvage of extreme value, Mr. Fallon. Hardly as palatable as food, but I'm sure you'll find it rather exciting.
Yes. Crest of power. The crest from the stateroom.
What?
On all our ships, Captain.
Wasn't it just red?
I'm quite
Why is
familiar
it-
with the object. And if you will be so condescending, we'll put it to a useful purpose.
There's a little bit of oil here in the Gulf War.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Might not be any banquet, Mr. Fallon, but tonight it'll seem like one.
I'm not overly fond of fish, Captain. Tomorrow,
Do we have anything else to eat?
see if you can find some
Wow,
game.
you can tell this guy really comes from privilege,
I
huh?
much prefer meat.
Tomorrow may be better spent in exploration of the island, Mr. Fallon. There may be some life on this island, and if so, we'll be better off for having found it. So tonight, let's make the best of the fate, huh?
You're gonna eat this fish and you're gonna like it.
Yes, of course, you're right, Captain. You're quite certain that I'm a bit of an ass, aren't you, Captain?
What'd he say? You're quite certain?
A bit
What?
of an ass? Is that what he said?
That's what it sounded like.
I don't believe there's a yes or no answer to that, Mr. Fallon.
Nice.
I feel as though you have been bred to a set of standards that don't apply to every situation.
By that you mean our present situation, I suppose.
Our present situation? Yes. However, if you are indeed your father's son, Mr. Fallon, you have a strength of which you are totally unaware. And a strength that will rise up unexpectedly to meet any situation or any challenge.
I knew then that the captain's tolerance of me was due to a deep and sincere respect for my father, and not just because I was the son of an employer.
Well, I mean,
For
yes
the
and
first
no.
time, I saw in the captain's face that wisdom and dedication peculiar to men who follow the dangers of the sea. But a strength that would crumble under the terror that was so suddenly forced upon us.
He reacted like before the timing. Oh. That could have been good. That would have been good, but the timing
No
was
weapon
awful.
even combat whatever's out there. Whatever it is, it's human. That was a woman's scream. You're right. Human. A woman's scream. But we can do nothing about it.
I almost forgot the about it.
Cleared the air rather nicely, I think, Mantis. The dogs. They got out last night, didn't they? Speak up, Mantis. You permitted the dogs to get out, didn't you? Didn't you? Answer me! The dogs got out. You fool. You blithering idiots. You filthy incompetents. Thought you got them back, the dogs. They're all right. It's something you're not telling me. What is it?
He did just throw a drink in
I
his
demand
face.
to know. They killed a woman last night. A woman? How could there be a woman? There is no woman.
There aren't any women on
Where
this
did
island.
she come from?
I've got to find her.
A woman? Then there may be others. There may be other people here. We've got to find them. Mantis, you find them. You
We gotta
bring them
get out
here.
of here.
There may be pirates. We're in grave danger. Go
Man,
find
he's just
them
going
now.
all over the place.
He's really in a nosedive about this.
Now back to my nightly flagon of wine.
There must be a way. There must be some means to keep the devils from my island.
Not likely, my dear Count. Your island was made for devils.
Who is speaking?
Is he about to get the golden touch?
There's no one
Yes.
here. Oh, you're quite wrong.
The cartoon was too spot on.
I am here.
Where? Where? I can't see you.
Here. Here in the shadows. Look closely.
No.
He's just
No,
drinking
you
absinthe.
can't see me.
No. No. I can't see you.
Then I'll come a little closer. Can you see me now?
Can't see me. Oh!
That is much better, isn't it? Well, does my appearance frighten you, Count de Sade? Then permit me to enter your dimension. You see, I appear most harmless.
I like you better the other way. Go back.
Who are you?
Oh,
What is happening right
who
now?
I am.
I don't know.
It's not important. It's what I am. You see, Your Highness, I am simply a product of your evil, a reflection of your madness. Surely you must recognize me.
No. No. I am not mad. How, therefore, could I know you?
How then could you know me? How indeed, Count de Sade? You could know me by the things I can do. I can do every evil thing you have desired to do unto others.
No. No. I have never wished evil.
You have never wished evil on anyone. Count, recall the incident of the cobra. You thought it a convenient way to do in poor old Lord Balthrop. But you couldn't find the cobra, remember? All you had to do was ask me. It's really very simple. You see, there, on the table beside you.
No.
Oh.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
No. You're not impressed then? Well, you and I have many more, don't we?
I heard he called you a third-rate magician.
I was not expecting.
Yes, we have many more. Many, many more, don't we?
Snakes and bats and what is he about? And then another bat? Oh my god! A giant spider! This was definitely written by a comic book writer, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Another time, then.
I also love how this guy wears a cape, but like no like button shirt and like collar. It's just like
just kind of
some Obi-Wan robe or something. I don't know.
Not mad. Perhaps it's the wine. Perhaps the wine is drugged.
Yes. Yes. The wine has been drugged. Now, please go away.
Since I am part of you, you have only to command me.
Oh man, I hope you come back.
I think it only fitting and proper that I leave a calling card. My calling card. A remembrance that you and I, always as close as you're mine.
Man, I love that whole sequence, dude. That was amazing.
This whole thing, this whole scene is just so wild.
The wine. Yes. It was the wine. Yes. The wine. It was the wine.
Wow. Man, where the hell are they? That tree looks huge. There's no way they're in San Antonio, Texas. There's no way.
Here in the San Antonio Redwood.
See? Tracks break this way.
Mr. Fallon! Look, Mr. Fallon. It's part of a woman's dress.
We gotta find the woman and return the missing part of her dress.
There was no doubt. We had found the place of the attack. The attack must have been violent. These look like dog tracks.
Captain, look!
Look at Chihuahua prints. Oh, damn! Okay.
The captain recognized the girl. She was a passenger from our ship. And now she lay dead.
We gotta narrate over this because
Terrifying
we couldn't get the actor back into Douglas lines, so.
Her horribly mutilated body revealed an evil about the island that I had never seen before.
You just showed up.
In shadow, I seemed to sense a strange and hostile presence.
Yeah, has he been here before?
If the dogs belonged to someone on the island, we intended to find them. With each step, I felt that we were walking towards some unbelievable dread. that beyond each turn of the trail lay some medieval and torturing trap.
Walking and walking and walking and walking. Whoa! Okay.
We walked right into a damn trap. I walked my knife and we washed ashore. Maybe I can break out.
Man, this is a salty sailor. He said ass, he said damn.
Captain, there!
What? Oh shit. Oh!
Jeez.
Fucking dead. He's only got one. You gotta make a break for it. You gotta make a break for it. Falls over. Man, he really landed that punch. Punch. Because we were talking about it earlier. Yeah. He looks like Pee Wee Herman, kind of. Don't let those dogs fight. Ooh, mysterious. What? Why do you, how would you feel waking up in a bed covered in cobwebs? I mean, I don't know.
He did it all. He did that on purpose. He put me right in these cobwebs.
Oh shit. He's fine. He's just banged up a little bit.
The captain is quite all right. He's been given a potion. The pain was most severe.
What?
You're quite safe now. For in the castle of Count Laurente de Sèvres, there will be time enough for your questions. It is important only to know that your friend will recover, and that nourishment awaits you. If your strength will permit, the Count requests your presence for the evening meal.
I am grateful. The captain is lying on a very cold floor. In his condition, pneumonia could surely occur. You must have accommodations.
I said your friend would recover, sir. The Count has seen fit to offer lodging and refuge. I'm not in a position to question the extent of his hospitality. If you desire to put the captain in your bed, by all means do so. I was sent to announce that the Count has elected to share his evening fare with you. An obligation I have now discharged. If you wish to show your lack of gratitude by refusing, then I'll relay your indiscretion.
I most certainly want to meet the Count. If you would permit me a moment. Captain?
They love me. They love me.
Oh, see how he sees. Fine. Here, right past these cobwebs. Clear them on out of here for me. That was kind of cool. They're really going big on the fake cobwebs.
Yeah. Very generous with the cobwebs.
I don't know why the audio like cuts out here briefly, but for some reason it does. I noticed that scanning through this looking for the break. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if I've just made this up in my head, but I'm pretty sure they use some kind of a gun to like make those webs. Like
Really?
there's some kind of web gun.
Huh.
Maybe I'm making that up.
Okay.
But I think that there's a way that's how they just shoot it at the walls, and that's how it makes the.
They hired their friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, that's if he's really stooped low enough, he started to work for money, then maybe he is. I'm sure there was just some pointless voiceover here anyway. Surely.
Yeah, just some more narration.
Yeah. Yeah, sure it's not important. Couldn't be. Just something evil, something horrible, something danger. Mystery. Or maybe they just didn't cut any sound effects or music, and this is the one part they forgot about. But I doubt that. I doubt it. And that is going to take us to our first break. I was like, all right, how long are they going to, they're going to keep doing it. They got there eventually. They lingered, man. Talk about lingering. My goodness. Well, that was the exciting, eventful first third of the Dungeon of Harrow. What do we think so far, Evan?
I'm really enjoying this so far. I think this is a pretty fun movie.
It's got a lot going on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a little bit of blood, a little bit of gore, a little bit of everything. And I'm
cool model work.
Yes. A lot of fun model work. It's fun, ship sets that are shaking around. And that whole sequence in the dungeon was just
yeah, that was wild.
Impeccable, dude.
There's this movie. It's got some kind of like a weird, heady kind of indie energy.
Yeah, a little bit of a charm to it.
It's charming.
Would you
that's
say
a good
maybe
word for it,
a similar ethereal quality to something like Scared to Death?
I think so. Yeah.
There's something to that, right?
It's hard to describe, but it's just a charming kind of.
Well, another movie that I would put in the same category that's always fascinated me in the same way, which we actually watched on this show in the very first season, was Roger Corman's The Terror.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you remember The Terror, but it starred Boris Karloff and Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, in the big castle.
In the big castle, and Jack Nicholson's character's not shipwrecked, but he's been separated from his regiment, and he is like on the beach and starts seeing this mysterious girl, and then ends up in Karloff's castle, and just kind of is unraveling this mystery. And so this tonight's film was actually made a year before The Terror, so there's some similarities, but Pat Boyette was more drawing on the Edgar Allan Poe movie, Roger Corman movies that had been made up to this point. And I think there were 3, which we already saw the trailers for 2, House of Usher and Pit the Pendulum. The third one is entitled The Premature Burial. I have not seen The Premature Burial, but it's notable for a Roger Corman Edgar Allan Poe movie because it does not feature Vincent Price in any way. I don't know. I think there was some kind of not contract dispute. Corman was making it independent, and the studio that he would sometimes work with put Price under contract, so he couldn't get he couldn't get Price since he wasn't doing that movie with them. And then eventually they bought the movie anyway, and he was like, no. But he got an Academy Award winning actor to play the Vincent Price type role, so that was kind of he was happy about that. And then of course the second trailer that we're gonna see during our break is The Terror. So that was kind of, I'm pretty sure the chronology. Terror might have come out after The Haunted Palace, which again, Edgar Allan Poe title, Lovecraft story. I was like, what's that guy's name? I blanked on Lovecraft. And then I think there ended up being 8 total Edgar Allan Poe, Roger Corman movies. And so it's just interesting that Boyette was like, he'd seen the ones that had come out and was like, and he had worked in television, so he knew that there were they needed to fill airtime. They're like, and he realized, they're filling airtime with these cheaply made independent horror movies, because they were just being even in the early 60s, a lot of movies we've seen on this show were already showing on television by that point, because television stations needed things to broadcast. They were looking for anything, and cheap horror movies were in demand. And so mix of that, and then seeing, here's Roger Corman doing it low budget indie style. Pat Boyette's like, that's what I want to do. I want to get in the money. Of course, it didn't really work out. He only ended up making 3 movies and then turned to comics, and obviously more successful there. But we're gonna get these 2 trailers for these Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe movies, The Premature Burial and The Terror. And when we come back, we'll get into the exciting middle of The Dungeon of Harrow. See, now I'm saying it like Harrow. I don't know. Harrow. Whatever. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Just the 2 of us. Together.
A woman possessed by love. A man obsessed by terror. Only Edgar Allan Poe, who knew intimately the tortures of madness, could create such ever-increasing suspense. Only an artist of unique talent and unusual sensitivity could live so demanding a role, believing he is destined to be buried alive. No matter who he destroyed, no matter how desperately he fought, his life became a nightmare of death.
No! You're dead! No.
Until reality and madness became one.
If his father was prematurely interred.
I heard his voice.
All right, then prove it.
I will.
You are about to enjoy an experience in extreme terror.
I'm alive. Can't you hear me? I'm alive, alive, alive. Someone help me.
Come in. I was surprised her in her room. She was not alone. With
my own hands, I killed her.
Starring Boris Karloff.
Take this gun. Escort this gentleman from the castle. If he resists, kill him.
The Terror. His evil mystic powers go beyond man's wildest imaginings. The Terror, empowered to avenge, to reward, to transform.
I do love you.
Is she a blood and flesh beauty a man can enjoy?
I am possessed of the dead.
Or is she a gossamer myth, created by a madman's distorted desires?
Take your life as you took mine, and bring us together forever.
Join Boris Karloff, the Frankenstein monster of all horror motion pictures, in his most blood-chilling screen experience.
And we are back. So those were the trailers for The Premature Burial and The Terror. And yeah, I mean, I thought if we could, I would show The Terror again, but that's one of the on the do not play list because they'll claim a copyright on it. Which
It's unfortunate. It's a good movie.
It is.
Young Jack Nicholson, old Boris Karloff.
Old Boris Karloff, which I love that you could see in that trailer, but the only way that they could sell old Boris Karloff as scary when he got old was to just remind you that he was the Frankenstein monster at one time. You know, they really beat that dead horse as much as they could. I mean, the whole, the man became, I mean, there were times in his career where he was just billed by his last name or called Karloff the Uncanny. When you're like propped up on that much of a pedestal.
Yeah, anytime you get a name the blank.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, 30 years later, you're not going to look quite as frightening and be quite as dramatically effective, but they can remind you of the heyday, and that was kind of I mean, Boris Karloff, the Terror is, a lot of people would say it's not a good movie, but it's an enjoyable one, and again, like definitely scared to death. And what so far, maybe this movie, there's just this weird kind of quality about it where you're like, yes, by any standard definitions of the terms good and bad, this is not a good movie that you could say it's a bad movie. But there's just some, I don't know, I'm excited, I'm enjoying it. There's soul is what it is. I think soul is 100% what it is. And I don't know if that has to do with just the people behind the camera, if they're just putting something, like, again, a movie like tonight where you got one guy who is like very talented, who's doing a lot of work. I think that kind of lends a little bit of a quality to it. There's just something about the movies that we see in color on this show. I think there's some kind of like psychological thing that's on our subconscious that just, it's so foreign to us on what we're used to on this show. Our brains can't absorb the trauma of a film from beginning to end in color.
Yeah.
But
they get extra points just for that.
They kind of do. That's true to even when I first made my first lineup of movies and I put ratings beside all of them. I'm pretty sure Terror and Scared to Death are up in my top, even though I know that again, most people will not rate them very highly unless you feel the same thing that I felt, Evans felt, other people felt. Those are enjoyable movies. And if you haven't seen The Terror or Scared to Death, there are episodes. Although our episode of The Terror is pretty plagued with technical difficulties. There's like some kind of weird echo that only happened in that one episode where you're hearing us say things from like 2 minutes ahead.
Weird.
It doesn't make any sense. So if you can sit through, that's only for like 20 minutes of it, and then it gets back to normal. So if you can sit through that, it's worth it. It was a good episode. It's the only time we'll get to watch it. Until the paywall. And that's the time we will make you pay for it, because if YouTube's gonna not allow us to show it, then you're just gonna have to keep it private. Keep it between the squad. So we're about to get back into the exciting middle of the Dungeon of Harrow, and so far we've had some kind of evil spirit man, and he was a negative at one point.
Yeah, I really liked that.
That was cool, right?
I mean, for being kind of a like almost a like cheap kind of easy effect, I've never seen it done before.
No, it was like jarring. It definitely like got your attention.
Absolutely.
It's a great way to kick off that like interaction, and then they just, you know, pile it on with the bat and the spider and the, oh man, the snake. It was great. It was so much fun. It was the snake, and then it was the bat, and then it was the giant spider, and it was a giant spider. That was a huge spider. You cannot tell me that wasn't a giant spider. So we've already had like, you know, if they don't bring those things back, they better be trying to top it. So again, comic book writer, I think he understands structure. You know, you can't put all your good stuff up front. You gotta spread it out. So we'll see. What are you thinking, Evan, so far, this Baron? You think he's you know, Vincent Price light, obviously.
Yeah.
Like diet light. You know.
Kind of Vincent Price less, or Vincent Cost.
Yeah. Vincent Poor. I don't know. I don't know. That's insensitive. But he, you know, yeah. I mean, if you've seen the House of Usher movie, and I don't know if, you know, anybody noticed during the trailer earlier, but in that movie his hair is like white. And so that's kind of I don't know, maybe that's why this guy's hair is white. I don't know. It's a fun little detail. You know he's evil. You know he's a bad guy.
Well,
anything before we get into it?
I think I'm ready.
All right, then we're gonna get into the exciting middle of the Dungeon of Harrow right now. What was that? I thought that was like a turkey, and then it just looked like vegetables. Paltry feast.
You can't get any meat. You said there's no chicks.
He did say that. I like that.
I'm in your debt, your lordship.
Oh, you're on frame. You're on frame.
The Count will not tolerate conversation during repast.
You may tell the Count he can damn well go to hell.
No, it's all right, Cassandra.
I like him.
My apologies, sir. I beg you forgive me. We are not used to guests, and our countenance of standard has been somewhat blunted by our prolonged solitude, I'm afraid. Please forgive me.
I understand. Reciprocal apologies are in order. I am indeed in your service. I am Aaron Fallon of the House of Fallon of Bath.
Bath? The Bath?
Too bad. The Romans knew a good spot, even if the English don't.
So these people are supposed to be English.
I'm afraid Bath is losing its social importance nowadays.
Showers where it's
too bad.
All right, we have to call the show. You can't get any better than that. That was a great joke. We have to end it there. No, I'm just kidding. That was amazing.
I made no further effort at conversation.
I still don't know how I feel about this. Is it supposed to take place in England?
I suddenly felt some strange compulsion to analyze my host. But all but a few salient and frightening clues eluded me. His face bore the sallow pallor of a lifetime of dissipation. And his eyes held that familiar paranoid glint of royal inbreeding that left no doubt.
Oh my God.
My
Buddy,
host was quite mad. And Cassandra. Her haunted face revealed only a portion of the racking torture of her inner torment. This observation of unhappiness and despair was verified by the event that was so soon to follow.
I feel ill. May I be excused, your lordship?
No, you may not be excused. Tonight we have a guest, Cassandra. Tonight, it will be like the days when the Countess was alive. There will be talk, an exchange of personalities. Don't you find that refreshing, Cassandra? Tonight you can put your trivial babbling to one side, and Mr. Fallon will talk. Yes, we'll listen to Mr. Fallon.
Well, I'm afraid that my ordeal has left me seriously taxed. I prefer that the delight of a lengthy conversation should not be tainted by my unfortunate weakness. Tomorrow, I shall see renewed strength. And I will eagerly await and be honored with an audience by so noble a person as yourself.
Yes. Of course.
The lines in this movie are so much.
Yeah, it's overkill. And it's the delivery too. It's so stilted and slow and unnatural. Be careful, that whole set is going to go up in flames.
Mr. Fallon. Mr. Fallon, do you fence?
Not well. Not well at all. Good night.
No, we're not going to do that.
Doesn't fence.
Pity.
Not much sport in that fellow.
Oh, there you go.
What kind of an Englishman is he?
There must be something. Yes. There must be something with a little excitement.
Oh my God! Your hair's gonna catch up.
These howls get quite drafty at night.
Cassandra, it isn't necessary for you to show me to my room. I can find it all right.
I must, Mr. Fallon. The Count insists.
Gust of wind.
Good night, Cassandra. And thank you.
But Mr. Fallon,
Good night, Cassandra.
You know, I already know how to describe this guy's performance. I have the actor's name. Russ Harvey in the most challenging role. I don't even... What was the wording in that trailer? I'm going to remember that forever.
I was alone in that horrible hallway. For the first time, I became aware of the soul of the castle of Dissay. The wailing sounds of strained sinews tearing from decaying sockets. The mounting anxiety dried in my throat. And then I saw it. There in the light of my torch. There, on the floor.
What was that sound
what?
effect?
Did you just walk through a wormhole?
Sorry. What the hell? Oh, man.
Mr. Fallon.
I saw him come in here. There is no way out. He must be in there.
Mr. Fallon, first let me say you are mistaken. And secondly, the Count would not tolerate your being in this chapel. It's very sacred to him. He will not have it violated.
Captain is not in his room. Where he should be, there is blood. I think he's been killed.
Do you think I did it?
Certainly not.
Then take your hands off me.
I have some fever of that, I'm sure. But I'm not given to hallucinations.
I'm not taking my hands off you for 1 second.
The captain's injuries were extensive. They may have reopened when he was moved to more suitable quarters. You did request that, did you not, Mr. Fallon?
Yes. I'm overwrought, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
We're tragically short of medicines here, Mr. Fallon. But on occasion of emotional strain, I sometimes find the ocean air quite invigorating. May I suggest the balcony?
Oh my God. More smoke, more smoke.
Oh, yes, invigorating.
He was almost attractive. As it is. It's almost frightening.
There are many things about this island that are frightening. And I think this castle most of all. Frankly, I shall be most happy when I've sailed and left it far behind.
Fears have a way of diminishing with time. I think you'll find that's true, Mr. Fallon.
Theories I have no intention of testing, Cassandra. When does the next boat arrive?
Boat?
What
there are
is
no boats,
a boat?
Mr. Fallon. We're in exile, sir. We've been severed from humanity. We're a cancer. We've been cut out.
I don't understand.
I know you don't. The truth is dark enough without learning about it at night. Tomorrow will be soon enough. Good night, Mr. Fallon.
It was inconceivable that no ships came to this island. I felt that Cassandra was trying to add to my uneasiness. That she was closer to the Count than she appeared. That she was a part of his
Stop it. Oh my god. Yes. No, he was like, it just spit out a wave of fog.
All traces of the captain's injuries had been removed.
So I slept pretty soundly in that bed once they changed the sheets.
But sleep refused to come. I was suddenly aware of a strange and tormented sound. I was hypnotized by morbid fascination. I could not believe that what I was seeing was real. But somewhere in the deep recesses of my numbed brain, my reflexes reacted to the scene. The room was dark. Whatever terror was present in the castle had now been removed from my sight.
Tarot.
But I knew that somewhere in this massive, dank crypt, it was continuing.
Oh shit. Was he giving him water? Uh-oh.
Water! You gave that pirate water! Traitor! Traitor! You have betrayed me! You have cursed your lot with the enemy! How dare you defy me? No, you're right.
I feel like
We mustn't let him die.
I feel like this guy's having a real hard time trying not to
You
laugh.
turned against me. I know you're a pirate. Oh, I know all about pirates. They've been here before. They've been here and left the mark of their black carnage. Once this girl could speak, but not now. That's pirate torture. They left her an imbecile. That tries to poison her lord. No. You must recognize this, then. It's the wine you brought me before I retired tonight.
The one I smashed on the floor.
What did you put in it, Ham?
Yeah. Did you think we'd just forget?
I could taste it. I knew it was there. No. You say no. Very well, then. You drink it. It won't take long. Hemlock is very fast.
Ah, hemlock. Okay.
Anne. Anne. Why did you try to kill me? See? She's dying already.
Oh, yes, sir.
As you would have me die. Die! Why don't you die? It was poison. It was. I know I'm right. Count is never wrong. I know he's a pirate.
I know he's a pirate. Oh,
jeez.
Holy shit. He just burned him up. Burned his face to bits.
Let me assure you, Miss Cassandra, that the event I witnessed last night was not my imagination, but a very real happening. I saw a young woman being beaten. And when I tried to assist, I found my door bolted from the outside. I was locked in, unable to help. I will accept none other than a truthful answer from you.
Very well, Mr. Fallon. Since you've become a member of the Castle d'Essade, I'm sure you have every right to know its secrets.
Thank you.
The story would begin with this portrait, I suppose.
Oh, it's always
She
a
was beautiful
portrait.
woman, the Countess, and much
Of a
loved by
woman.
her husband. So much so that he insisted on marrying her, even when he learned of her terrible illness.
There's no illness in the portrait.
You're quite wrong, Mr. Fallon.
Contagious?
It was there.
Yep. Don't get near that,
The
that
faint
painting.
beginning traces may have escaped the artist, but not the physicians. You see, Mr. Fallon, the Countess was a leper.
Oh.
Oh my God, no.
Oh my God,
It
no.
was necessary that she be exiled.
It's the most
Count was
emotive he's been the whole
determined
movie.
Not be separated. So we came to this island, bought this castle. It should have been a story of love and dedication and sacrifice. But I'm afraid just the opposite was true.
I can almost guess the rest. The Countess died very early, and the Count was forced to continue his exile because of his contact with her.
That would have been endurable, at least, Mr. Fallon. No, it was much worse than that. The Countess did not die. She went insane. And in her madness, there was only one moment that she chose to relive. Her wedding night. Day after day, wearing her wedding gown, reliving her marriage. Eventually, it was necessary to lock her away.
Are you saying the Countess is not dead?
Yes, the Countess is not dead.
And where the devil is she?
In the dungeon. By now the disease is quite advanced.
Dungeon of horror.
Rather than face what she's become, the Count prefers to think of her as dead.
This is most tragic. This explains the reasoning why the Count is a little deranged.
Worse than that. He's
A
insane.
little deranged. The
Criminal
Texas
style.
really came out in that line. I really got a flavor of San Antonio there.
I matter very little, Mr. Fallon. I'm in the service of the Count as payment of my father's debt. I was a nurse. Now I'm not much of anything. I try to give some comfort to the Countess, but it's extremely difficult. To the girl you saw being beaten, her name is Anne. She was the hostage of pirates who once attempted a raid on this castle. She was mutilated and abused. She was left a mute. She's known brutality all her young life. First the pirates, and now the Count. He repeatedly accuses her of trying to poison him. Her punishments are cruelly severe. He'll kill her someday. I'm not very reassuring, am I, Mr. Fallon?
Yeah, just blow all that smoke right in my hair. You know how long it took to style this?
I cannot solve the problem until I know it exists.
Going right in there.
It's absorbing.
Yeah.
His name is Mantis. He's been a slave for many years. At one time, the Count was a great hunter, and Mantis was his gun bearer.
Mantis?
He's completely loyal.
All right.
The only thing resembling
Cool.
normal
Hell
human
yeah.
castle.
Mantis Toboggan,
Count is deathly
MD.
afraid of pirates. He's rigged the entire island with all manner of traps.
Yes, I was caught in one. Which leaves one last question. What if the captain?
I permitted myself to lie last night. I don't know where the captain is. It's unlikely, however, that he's been moved to another room.
Could they have killed him?
Count has come to believe that all sailors are pirates.
Well, aren't they?
They could have killed him.
Must be a way to leave this place. To signal a ship, or there must be.
Just need a baseball and a mitt.
It's all right, Anne. He's a guest. Tea has a way of bringing things into proper perspective, Mr. Fallon.
Tea.
Anne could have been a beautiful girl. But it was difficult to see beyond the swelling of bruises and the scars of the Count's mistreatment. It was obvious the child bordered on screaming hysterics. I had meant only to reach for the cup, but my movement came with more suddenness than I had intended.
Coverage really wasn't quite there on that one.
Yeah.
So, you have embarrassed our guest, then?
Count, it was not intentional. I have suffered no injury. Please, I implore you, do not punish the girl.
But that tea was scalding hot. Yeah, but I'm fine.
Courteous as to override the wishes of a guest, Mr. Fallon. However, one must hold a firm hand to domestics these days. They're getting disturbingly lax and independent. Moreover,
let's give him a yikes.
it is not
He's,
proper that
I
a
mean,
cat be left waiting
it's in his nature as an awful, depraved count, but you know.
Yes, of course. But it might be too sweet. You know how you indulge yourself, Cassandra.
I'm sure it's to your liking.
Yes. Not bad.
Or poison.
I was promised a conversation, and I intend to have it. Tell me about England, about the Americas, or any subject you choose. It'll be good to hear a new voice.
Yes, I do have a subject. The captain of my ship. I demand to know where he is.
Captain. Oh, that dreadful creature with the beard. Oh, yes. Mr. Fallon, I'm grieved to bring you sorrowful tidings, but the poor man died last night. Now, let's talk about England.
How did he die, Count Desade?
Ooh, nice try, Count.
Death is not a pleasant subject to discuss so early in the morning, and I did want our meeting to be pleasant. In fact, I demand that our meeting be pleasant.
Please, Mr. Fallon, this can come to no good end. Another time. Please.
Very well. You shall not mention the captain. But let me assure you I intend to know his fate. I will know how my friend died.
Mr. Fallon, I'm grieved to think that you should entertain the notion that I have contributed to your friend's untimely demise. Quite the contrary. I did everything I could to save the unfortunate creature.
Why? Why? God's sake, let me have some more. Please. Please help me.
Mantis just has a good heart. He just can't help himself. Is the same thing gonna happen? You can come in and slap him.
They're cutting my wrist off. Loosen them.
I can't loosen them, sailor. I can only do what I'm told.
What kind of an animal are you to torture another human to death?
I am not an animal, mister. I'm a man loyal to his master.
Your master is a
Script page laying right there on the
He's my
table.
master, and I do what he says.
Even to kill me?
If the Count says so, yes.
And then he lets him go.
Thank you.
My day with the Count had been a grueling experience. But now it was over. In my room, I would have time to think, to plan my escape.
It's just too good.
Alright, so we're definitely going to use all the takes where the actors get stuck in the cobwebs.
I suddenly had the feeling that I was being watched. And there she was.
I thought it was going to be that giant spider.
And there she was.
I had a new friend. It had something to do with gratitude for having asked the Count to spare her earlier in the day, I suppose. At any rate...
Have you noticed the voice doing the narration is not him? It's actually Pat
Not that
Boyette.
I find you unattractive, but it is quite improper for you to be here. Please. I didn't mean to shame you. I put that rather badly. This is a time of great distress for me, Anne. I find it impossible to concentrate on the matters at hand. Anne, do you understand me? Do you know where the dungeon is? There was a man, a sea captain. Have you seen him? Is he in the dungeon? Was he killed? Is he in the dungeon now? Will you take me there? I must help him. Are you saying that you will help him? Then for my sake, Anne, do so.
You say for my sakes? For my sakes, Anne.
I do appreciate you coming to my room tonight, Anne. And thank you.
He moves fast. And that is going to take us to our second break. What are we thinking so far, Evan?
Well, I like this little romance subplot we've got going here.
Right heading into the final third of the movie, right? You gotta love a last minute romantic subplot.
Oh man, I really love this Count character.
Yeah, I mean,
he's nuts.
We really got to see the depths of his depravity in the second act. And I don't know. I mean, no giant spider, no bat, no, you know.
That's a shame.
But I do think that they were trying to stress a little more of the Gothic story elements in like kind of the backstory and the narrative, just the whole idea of the madness and the exile and the fucking what was it? The painting. So there's all,
Yeah,
I mean, that was
all these Gothic elements.
I mean, in most of Roger Corman's, I think that there's some kind of painting. Like in all of them, paintings are like a prominent theme of like this painting that captured someone that is now a ghost or that was a terror. In House of Usher, it's like all the insane members of the Usher family, and they just got these like It looks like they were done by like surrealists on like fucking bath salts because it's just they're really horrifying pictures. But I mean, I don't know. The second act didn't give you as much like kind of cheap tricks, a little more kind of laying the story out, I think, and fleshing out some characters. So I mean, not bad, I mean, and still some fun little things along the way. Again, as you pointed out, getting stuck in the cobwebs, and I mean, it's.
Do you think those were the good takes? Maybe.
So one thing that apparently
they just get completely stuck.
Well, what Boyette said was that the distributor, who was Hertz Lion, who went on to distribute other public domain movies that we haven't watched, Carnival of Souls and The Devil's Messenger, which is that compilation of 13 Demon Street episodes. They stipulated that this had to be a 90-minute movie. And so he said there's about 20 minutes that should be like cut out. And that he would have cut out, but
Yeah, I was gonna maybe save that for the end, but
I was also gonna say that for the end.
There's definitely been some moments so far where I thought, you could probably cut this out.
That, you could have lost all that. It's funny, again, economy filmmaking, regional filmmaking. I mean, that's the thing. You don't have regional filmmaking is indie filmmaking, but not all indie filmmaking is regional filmmaking, right? But I mean, obviously Boyette didn't really go on to like establish himself as like he wasn't, again, another regional guy based out of Texas that we talked about was Larry Buchanan, who did the really terrible movie that we watched, Creature of Destruction. And we've got about like 7 other Larry Buchanan movies just to watch on this show, and he did like 40 movies in his career, and he was just based out of Texas, right? So there is something to be said for you can do your own thing in your own space, and if you just find the right kind of niche to practice in, then you can find success. And so the trailers that we're going to get for our break tonight are from a regional filmmaker who made kind of like, it was like the next stage of like, because, Roger Corman did his Edgar Allan Poe movies, and then Gothic horror outside of Hammer horror from Britain, which did the, Dracula and Frankenstein, all these British movies. Gothic horror kind of died outside of that. But you did have this filmmaker named Andy Milligan, who first he was based in New York, and then he moved to London and filmed some movies in London, and then came back to New York. But he made these regional, and especially in New York, it was these regional period pieces, right? So that's the trailer. I don't know if the first movie trailer that we've got is a period piece. The second one definitely is. But we did see, when we watched Sweeney Todd, we saw a trailer for Bloodthirsty Butchers, I think it was, which I don't know if you remember. That was a pretty poor quality like trailer. Just the movie obviously was not, not a great movie. But that's, it kind of takes what like, kind of narratively Corman was doing with Gothic horror, but then it adds sex and blood and all these things that you don't get until late 60s, 70s. Right now we're in the early 60s. Things are still a little concerned. Kennedy, was still president. I think once what happened, I think that's when media started really getting dark and nobody gave a shit. That's when the code really fully broke down, and kind of makes sense. But we're gonna see the first trailer is for a Andy Milligan film called The Ghastly Ones, which I think was his first color horror film. Second one is for a period piece entitled Torture Dungeon, That's what it is. So yeah, some nice little titles here. Warning, there is some nudity in these trailers, so it just preface that. I didn't blur it out. I'm not censoring the trailers anymore. I did that before, but it just doesn't feel right, you know.
No, this is the authentic as it is meant to be seen.
They weren't censoring them in the theaters. They knew little kids were probably sitting in the audience. They loaded these things up with boobs and blood, and you're like, for a trailer? Oh my God. That's the way it was. So we're gonna get these 2 trailers, and then when we come back, we're gonna get into the exciting conclusion of the Dungeon of Horrors. Stick around, we'll be right back.
A house of abnormality, where every room means twisted passions.
You have abnormal tastes.
Until one night, into this house came the monsters of slaughter.
Oh my God!
With some of the most hideous tortures and heinous crimes ever shown on the motion picture screen. The ghastly ones. Rape. Mutilation and the sadistic story of human slaughter. Meet Colin, the mad brother who loves to eat meat. Live meat. Or Liz, whose sick need is only satisfied by the sadism of man. Any man. Or John, who learns the terror of the ultimate torture, but never lives to tell about it. The ghastly one.
What is it?
Not for the squeamish, but an experience so sensually exciting that it will be the stomach shocker of your life. The ghastly one.
Torture Dungeon. If you see it once, you'll see it over and over again in your nightmares.
I love you. You know that, don't you, Willie?
It's a story of a great love. And as gory a series of murders and never dare see again.
Open your mouth. No. Open it. How many times have we told you not to eat bugs?
Albert, Duke of Apathy, I now pronounce you man and wife.
You must burn it first to make it smell.
There's no time! Suck it! Suck it! Suck it!
Some of the victims were mercifully in the torture dungeon.
Excuse me.
He has no tongue. He gets liquid, but no food for 70 days.
I want to share my pleasures, my loves. And the 3 of us shall be one big happy...
In this picture to make you cringe in your seat. Other portions of the film. These sample scenes should give you a pretty good idea. Torture dungeon. Torture dungeon. Torture dungeon.
That's my favorite 70s trailer device is when they repeat the title 3 times. Echoey, really echoey. I freaking love that. Torture dungeon. Torture dungeon.
That way you remember.
It's not even it's like almost monotone, right? Like there's no like torture dungeon, torture, but you gotta love it. I appreciate it. But yeah, those are both Andy Milligan films, and definitely spectacle. Yeah, this trailer's ridiculous. And I mean, yeah, you can tell obviously not a lot of production value there. But they go to try to do a period piece anyway. I mean, again, that's what they're kind of pulling it off tonight, I think. Like obviously it's not great, but it's not.
Yeah,
it honestly started out worse and has gotten better. I mean, when it started out with the boat rocket, it was like, oh, this is barely a set. Like,
yeah,
what
it
is
was very
happening here?
community theater-esque.
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous. And I mean, apparently Boyette like realized like he only ended up making 2 other films. One was called The Weird Ones, which is weird that he has a film called The Weird Ones and The Dungeon of Harrow, and we just watched a trailer for a filmmaker who's got The Ghastly Ones as opposed to The Weird Ones and Torture Dungeon, Dungeon of Harrow.
Yeah.
Not significant of anything, but a fun little coincidence. But so he did this film, The Weird Ones, which is lost now apparently, and it got taken away from him at some point in the production, so it was a bad experience. And then he helped produce another movie called No Man's Land, which is a Korean War film made under the same kind of circumstances as this. So might be pretty interesting to watch. I don't know if it's public domain, but it's also features the lead of tonight's film, who isn't necessarily reading as like distraught and like they keep saying, oh, he's exhausted, he's
just really worn out.
He's traumatized by this accident, and it's like he's just stone-faced the whole time.
In a challenging role.
Yeah, that's really, it's like, oh man. All right, that's all we can say. I guess he had a hard job. And just, whether he rose to the challenge or not, we can all agree he did not. Now, he's doing fine. So we're about to get into the exciting conclusion of the Dungeon of Harrow. So what are we thinking, Evan? What's the prediction here? How do we think this is going to shake out?
So I think we're gonna get a whole dungeon. There's gonna be a lot of there's gonna be a lot of dungeon crawling.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see us really, kind of up the ante when it comes to the torture devices in the third act. I mean, again, if you can tease us with all that stuff with the bat, the snake, and the giant spider, then you got to be saving up for something in the third act. I don't want to be disappointed. Really crossing my hopes that we get some kind of snake spider bat hybrid that is just gonna wreak havoc. We'll see. Anything before we get into it, Evan?
I don't think so.
All right, then without further ado, we're going to get into the exciting conclusion of the Dungeon of Harrow right now. Uh-oh. Oh, shit.
Girl, untie his rope.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still alive.
On my feet. Thank you, woman. That's out.
Wow.
So,
coos.
So,
He likes pointing his. He's done that a few times tonight.
that leaves a place on the rack. See, the gods are already with me. The pirate's dead.
All right, Mantis. Let's spring into action here. Don't let him do it.
Mantis, make sure that man is dead.
It looks pretty dead to me. Did his eyes just open?
Mantis, remove the plug from the drain. Do as I command.
The plug from the drain. Was he gonna waterboard her?
Good. He's dead, that pirate. He's dead. Good night, sweet Anne. Good night.
Why did
We
they
are
remove the
retiring for
plug?
the night. The key and I. Come, Memphis.
Is it dripping on?
Yeah, what's that gonna do?
Isn't that like a torture thing?
Is it? I feel like I've heard of that, but I don't
like
know.
If like the water, like if it keeps dropping on you, eventually it starts to really hurt.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that before. Seen that somewhere.
Anne?
No, it's Cassandra. Let me in.
Thought you were Anne. She was here a little while ago.
I'm really getting a thing for Anne, so I kind of don't think you should be here right now.
Brought in by ship.
Kind of waiting
The
for a
tea,
booty
for
call.
example. The Count's tobacco.
You said there were no ships.
I've never seen them. I suspect the supplies are left on the beach somewhere. I've checked. Our larder is presently low. That means that any day or week now, a ship may come.
Yes, it's possible. We could signal her some way.
No, it's not possible, Mr. Fallon. Not so long as the Count is alive.
What do you suggest?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm merely saying that if there is an avenue of escape, it's being blocked by the Count.
Chinese water torture. Thank you, SC.
Murder's not a word to be applied to self-preservation, Mr. Fallon.
That's
Never thought
right.
myself capable of killing either. I'd condemned myself to whatever fate befell me. I'd almost forgotten that another world existed. But it does, and I want to be a part of it again. Is that too much to ask?
Right or wrong or relative things, Cassandra. No. What you ask is not too much. I am asking the same thing. So we have a bond together. You and I.
Man!
Yeah, this guy's getting around.
Seriously.
You have denied me, yet you have taken that boy.
He's gonna make out with the Count next.
Mr. Fallon.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have
I mean,
defiled
that's
my
yeah.
hospitality.
He really wants
I have given you
to play
refuge,
the
and you have
house.
become a thief in my house. Mantis, take them to the chapel.
This is one tough captain.
Yeah. So Mantis saved him. Because I thought his eyes were closed and they opened, and then he closed them, which I thought was weird, but...
yeah. Not an error.
No, not an error. I like it. Sorry, did somebody just turn on a light? Or did you see that?
Yeah, striking.
We are a cursed people, Cassandra. You have never really understood me. You have never known how much I have suffered.
You never even tried to understand.
Locked away in the darkness to rot in the underworld. But you shall. Mr. Fallon shall be locked away as my love has been. And together, you and I, we will mourn them. We will... Mantis!
Your day of reckoning.
Shit.
Oh, man, I thought he had a gun. I was like, fuck yeah.
Stop him.
Yeah, that would have been really... Okay, he's got an axe.
It works.
Okay.
I told you that I would kill you, sailor.
Ooh, that was good.
Glorious victory, Mantis. And now you, Mr. Fallon. Make him do as I say, Mantis. Show him the sarcophagus.
Ooh. Ooh. He's gonna be down there with the leper.
Well, assist me. We can't leave the poor fellow lying there on the dungeon floor.
We have a second, deeper dungeon.
I'm sorry.
Hell yeah.
Now he's concerned about his welfare? He was just about to lock him to the sarcophagi.
Yeah, he was about to be a sarcophagi.
There it is.
Look around you, Mr. Fallon. Fate has been very unjust. I have been exiled to a whole island, but you have only this room. You and the Countess. Behind that door, Mr. Fallon. She thinks it's her bridal chamber. And in a way, it's yours also. Goodbye, Mr. Fallon. Come, Mantis.
He opens the door. Oh yeah, I found a cure for the disease years ago. She's beautiful.
It was as if I had been buried alive. At first, the silence was deafening. But the dungeon had a voice all its own. Timid little sounds that came from the shadows. They swelled to a tumultuous throng. I closed my eyes and listened to a symphony of the Black Mass. But suddenly I was aware of another sound. A noise that had no place in this concert from the tomb. I prayed that she would be unable to reach the latch. For a moment, I thought my prayers had been answered. The hand withdrew through the opening. imagination would not permit me to visualize what face belonged to that dead arm. But as the Count had said, it seemed that fate was destined to spare me nothing.
Just kidding. I could reach it the whole time.
I have a little step stool in here. It really helps me just, you know, get out whenever I really want to.
Also getting stuck in the car.
Oh, yes, Laurenti. This will be our happiest moment. This will be a night to relive.
You can't tell if that's a wedding veil or cobwebs.
And again. You waited so long, my love. But now I am yours, Laurenti. I am the Countess to save. And you have to wait no longer. You're still shy, my husband. I'll remove my veil so that nothing is between us. My lips hunger for the kiss of your love.
I find it very commendable that you're
Dang.
able to perform your duties as a nurse, Cassandra. I had rather expected to find you in some corner bemoaning your lost love.
The wound is very serious, Mantis. Use it as little as possible.
Yes, that's right, Mantis. Use it as little as possible. But first, we must get rid of that pirate. We can't leave him here, can we?
And by we, I mean
No,
you.
of course not. Come, Mantis. Drag him out. This whole unsavory business is becoming quite unsightly to me.
Was I worth waiting for, Laurenti? Have I made you happy? Here, I am the Countess. Cassandra!
I guess she stabbed her? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that the bride really sold being stabbed, but
She went peacefully.
she really did.
I'm sorry I had to kill her. The Count is gone. There'd be no one to take care of her. I couldn't let her suffer. We must hurry, Fallon. Now is the time to escape. Oh, Fallon. Her hair.
Uh-oh.
Must have been horrible.
I came very close to becoming a permanent occupant of this dungeon, Cassandra. fact, I'm not certain that I haven't crossed that thin line that separates the sanities.
Not so, Fallon. Now there's hope. Now is our chance to escape. Let's take it.
Ooh.
Hurry, Fallon. There's little time.
They'll just keep kind of treading out of here. Oh my
How
god.
far we ran, the Castle d'Issade seemed ever close. It became an inescapable dominant
Wave that
part
fog
of the
around. Never gonna make it out. I do want to know where they filmed this, though. I mean, maybe this is Texas, but
This is far enough. You won't begin to search until tomorrow morning. We have an adequate head start.
You're wrong, Fallon. Search will begin tonight.
you thought he was gonna skip this for his nightly wine? You were wrong.
You hear them? Got the dogs.
They've picked up our scent. They're headed this way. Quickly. We can cross the stream. Maybe we can throw them off.
All right, let's roll around in this mud real quick. Oh, has Mantis got like a nice little hat?
They've crossed the stream. We'll cross at the shallow end.
He does.
I think we've crossed the river. We'll spend the night on this side.
Cut it. Cut the music. Cut the music.
That's how they know they're safe. They
fell into a deep
It literally sounded like the needle went off the
Through the
record.
night, I could hear the dogs as the Count circled the island. By dawn, they seemed to be coming closer.
They've just been searching all night.
Thrill of the hunt.
Come on, you gotta do a better job than that.
Escape was impossible. The Count was drawing close. Our reaction was one of panic. We had to find a hiding place.
Oh my God.
Oh, you've let the dogs go. Get up! Get up! I can't. Come back! Come back! Get up, I command you! I can't. I can't move anymore.
Very well. Since you defy me,
Oh.
I have no further use
Don't
for
do
Mantis.
it. No, not Mantis. No. Aww.
I always do what you say.
Aww.
You die.
Mantis is like, what? Oh, poor Mantis. I mean, he wasn't the best henchman, but he wasn't the worst.
Time to say.
The worst henchmen are the ones that sit around a table and like to pretend like they're doing something, but really they're just twiddling their thumbs. Ooh!
Oh, jeez.
So they really got him.
You damn well go to hell, Mr. Fallon.
Holy shit.
Jeez.
I wasn't expecting to get him that easy.
Yeah.
It's all over, Cassandra.
Our safety required some
Okay,
adjustment.
good. He's like, no.
But as our fears faded and patience for a ship to arrive mounted, we were taken with a feeling of exhilaration that never left us. After many years, there was happiness in the castle of Desaid, marred only by the death of little Anne, who had died from the ordeal of a water torture.
Thought she got.
In one night? What, did they forget about her?
I thought that the captain got her.
The days turned into months,
Yeah.
into a full year. But then it came. There it was at last.
Cassandra! It's come at last. It's anchored out here. Hurry, Cassandra, hurry! Come, Cassandra. It's here. Anchored out here, Cassandra.
I'm sorry, Fallon.
Sorry, Cassandra. This is what we've been waiting for. This is our hope. This is our new beginning. Come, let's don't miss it. Come, come.
My chest was bursting with excitement. In the thrill of the moment, I had given no thought to Cassandra's sudden change of attitude.
That was the boat? I see it! It's gone! There!
Room for 2 more.
Why does all this music sound like it's the end?
Yeah, the end.
More damn pirates.
Here! We're up here!
Get back to the boat, man. They're leopards.
waiting to see how does he know. What's the
Captain! Captain, come back!
The captain's words were ringing in my brain. I could not believe what I had heard. Only when I looked into Cassandra's face did I know the truth.
Leopard.
Haven't you noticed, Fallon, the color of my skin? Color of your own?
damn? She was playing the long con. She gave him leprosy.
How long have you known Cassandra?
The first traces were months ago, Fallon. I'm sorry.
Wow, this is like a whole parable for like, I mean, not, just kind of being a player, playing the field and, not, asking, have you been tested for, any contagious disease?
Have you been down to the health department to make sure you don't have leprosy?
In the years that have followed, I have come to know what it means to be conquered by the castle of Deceit. I find myself hoping that a storm such as the one tonight will bring me a survivor from the outside. It's been so long since I've had anyone to talk to. And poor Cassandra, she's become quite deranged. Yes. I'm afraid the time has come to put her away.
Time to join your mother. Oh! I think you both need to go away. Wow, that was the Dungeon of Harrow. What did we think, Evan?
Jeez, what an ending.
Yeah, I mean,
What
did you
a third act twist?
did you see it coming?
Not really. I kind of expected them to get out, but
Yeah, they were definitely teasing it like they were, it's all right, and they're gonna live happily ever after. And now nope, they didn't. Yeah, kind of a bummer ending, but
yeah, not bad though. Not bad. It all comes full circle.
True, they did bring it all back around, and yeah, I mean, leprosy is just such a
it's a interesting angle.
Yeah, definitely not where you. I mean, there was there a supernatural element? Like there was in that one scene with the guy, and he never came back. That was disappointing. I wonder if they filmed that later and then we're like, oh damn, we should have done more of that. That would have been good. I was expecting a little more in that vein for the climax, but I'm not disappointed. That was, again, that was just a really, I mean, even though not the best story, not the best movie, pretty traditional Gothic horror story, And I didn't catch till the end that it's the castle. They're saying Decide. I don't know. It's supposed to be Decide and the Marquis de Sade. I don't know much about, as I didn't do that as part of my research tonight because I really didn't. It wasn't in anything that this is like has anything to do with, because there have been like horror movies about the Marquis de Sade and a lot of other kind of movies. But
so this was intended to. That was the count.
I don't know if that's what I'm saying. I didn't see that like in the credits, like when I did the research. I didn't see the count, I'll need to go back and confirm.
Yeah, as if so, that is an interesting angle.
It is, but
what if the Count Assad got leprosy?
Yeah, it's a interesting alternate history. But yeah, I mean, overall, a fun, enjoyable movie. I thought I'm kind of pleasantly surprised because, I mean, you go read reviews of this online, you know what you're gonna get. But I was surprised to actually enjoy a lot of that.
It was enjoyable. I'd say it's one of those where you can take it, you can look at any of its like base parts and say, well, that's not very good,
Right.
but somehow like it's more than the sum of its parts.
Right. I think that's a good way to put it. And that's how the director felt about it. I mean, he said, because apparently this played on like, went to television and played on like late night horror shows a lot. And then the director was quoted as saying in an interview, the kids love it. So that's, I'm sure that
I think I'd probably dig this if I was a kid.
But he also
kind of scary if I was
I mean, there are definitely some effective moments in the whole bit with the woman with leprosy in the dungeon. That was definitely unsettling. So that was that was definitely effective. I mean, despite the shortcomings are obvious. Like you pointed out earlier, like it seems like there's just stuff in here that they could have cut. And apparently that's the case. But apparently, the director also blamed the guy in the lead. So the movie really suffered from having that guy.
He was in a challenging role.
Until the end, he did good when like he changed and like was getting excited about the boat. And then that was a little more serviceable than just his kind of stoicness throughout the rest of the movie. So I mean, good things and things, but overall a fun movie, an enjoyable movie. So I'm really glad that we got to dig into that. I mean, again, that's a movie I didn't know until a few months ago was public domain, but there's no copyright symbol on the credits anywhere. So that's what happened in Night of the Living Dead. That's why it's public domain. So this is suffered the same fate, but to our benefit. So we've had two pretty like cheesy movies this season. That was our third movie, and of course we had a pretty iconic movie last episode with Phantom. Next time, because I don't know if we'll be streaming on Friday next week or if this episode will get pushed till after our Christmas special. I don't know what. But the kind of feel bad saying this, but I know I said this earlier this season, and earlier tonight, the winter season for us is like kind of a down season, so we gotta burn some. Okay. So there are a whole bunch of old Dark House movies from the 1930s, which we could do a whole separate stream for those. It seems like I keep coming across new ones every few months, so we gotta start knocking them out. And so next time we're gonna be watching a 1934 film entitled The House of Mystery. A really descriptive title there.
Isn't that Dr. Strang's place of business?
Is that what he calls his wax museum, The House of Mystery? That's pretty good name for it. I think so. I'd have to go back. You would know better than I would. You've watched it more than I have officially.
We'll see you next time.
We'll get that answer for you. And I don't know. We may or may not do a mini-sode Wednesday. We'll see. Again, we have 12 of those, so we can kind of take a week where we don't have a movie and just do a mini-sode. But I don't know. We'll play it by ear. We'll let you know. But of course, if you want to catch up on any of our past episodes, you can go find those over on our YouTube page. We're over there at Scream Stream Live. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. course, if you want to go follow us over on the socials, we're on Instagram and X and TikTok at Scream Stream Show. And I'm just pondering in my head, should we just delete our X account? Because, you know, that idiot over there, I won't say his name, but it's just getting kind of infuriating. But of course, you can find me over there at Spakenstein.
Still there for now.
And Mr. Evan Sink too, at Caligari Cursed over there, but also on Instagram at Caligari Cursed. Anything before we sign off tonight, Evan?
I guess the real treasure was the leprosy we gained along the way.
Wasn't it? Well, until next time, sweet screams, everybody.
And to all, a good fright.